Welcome to the workshop. Today is going to be a long overdue video. As I'm sure most of you know, I have a disease called stiff person syndrome, but I don't think I've ever actually explained what it is, more than just kind of surface level stuff. So what is stiff person syndrome? Stiff person syndrome is a rare autoimmune neuromuscular disease that's thought to affect 1 in a million people. Now, since this was put out over the past year, we actually thinking it's closer to 2 in a million, maybe even 3, because it goes misdiagnosed for so long. It's a progressive disease that causes stiffness, rigidity, and painful muscle spasms that can happen anywhere in the body. You guys have seen that in some of my videos. But it can happen from the arms and legs and torso to the diaphragm and even more parts of your body. I actually have hiccups now. That's a weird thing. You're like, oh, everyone has hiccups. I haven't ever in my whole life. I have never had more than 1 or 2, maybe 3. If I had 3, I was getting scared. I'm like, oh my God, I'm dying. This is gonna be like, ask my wife. I had a whole episode once where there were 47 hiccups, and I actually Googled, has anyone ever died from hiccups? Apparently, yes, one person, but it was a whole different thing. Anyway, I now have hiccups, and that is from my diaphragm spasming. It usually happens first thing in the morning or after a nap, whenever I wake up. Something about the way I lay or standing up, the movement, hiccups. I can deal with that one. SBS facts, okay? I'm going to skip around a little bit here. Women are affected twice as many times as males. At first, they called this stiff man syndrome, but once they realized that, they changed it to stiff person syndrome. But it is also called Marsh-Waltman syndrome after the doctors who first described it. So that's kind of cool. I think it sounds cooler than stiff person syndrome, because when people ask me, like, what's wrong? And I tell them, I'm like, I know, it's like, sorry guys, it's like the dumbest name in the whole world, but it describes it perfectly. Like many rare diseases, the diagnosis could take anywhere from 7 to 10 years, sometimes more. I was incredibly lucky. I was diagnosed after 3 years. 3 years of known, symptoms. And I can kind of trace back some before that, but I'm not really counting those. I'm counting my actual symptoms. So I was very lucky. The spasms can be so severe that tendons can tear and bones can break. That sounds terrifying. And I've experienced a very small bit of it. I had a spasm so bad in my bicep and my shoulder and everything that it caused horrible pain, tendonitis, had to get some shots. It wasn't a big deal. But I do know people who have broken ribs because of rib spasms. That's also one of my spots that I have them. Luckily, they haven't gotten that bad yet, but that is absolutely possible. I know some people in my support group have broken toes. So that's absolutely possible. About 30% of those with SBS also have type 1 diabetes. GAD65AB is also the most common antibody associated with autoimmune type 1 diabetes in adults. Okay, we're going to talk about some symptoms. We already talked about the painful muscle spasms. And when I say muscle spasms, mine come on, and everyone is different. And here's the crazy thing about this disease. This is why it's so misdiagnosed, is because it looks like 100 other things. And it presents itself differently to everybody, to every patient. Everyone is different. So what I'm telling you about my personal experience, take that as me, okay? That is not, there's no average. There's no normal progression of this in time frame or the way it hits you. So When I say painful muscle spasms, what I mean is like a Charlie horse. And you know how it hits your calf and you're like, oh, that sucks. And you like move your leg in the different direction and it kind of loosens up and you're like, ooh, that was terrible. These that I have in my legs are like the worst Charlie horses you could imagine. And when you move your leg in the opposite direction, the other muscle also spasms. I have ballet toes a lot where they point and sometimes they'll flip up. I think I've posted pictures on TikTok or something like that. Maybe even here. I think it was on TikTok that I showed my toes after I had been out for a night. It was the very last time I wore those boots. It was worth it for the night, for the cosplay. Do it for the cosplay. But it was not, we won't be doing that again. Muscle stiffness. So after these spasms, once your muscle has contracted so much, think of it as going to the gym. You work out those muscles. You've got stiffness. You have to stretch, make sure that you're doing something to keep moving. That's one of the hard parts about this, is that muscle stiffness is pain as well, chronic pain. And you have to keep moving. Walking difficulties and gait changes. That is one that has personally affected me. I walk with a cane, and it is not because I have a bad knee. I do have a bad knee, but not because I have a bad knee or a bad hip or something. It's because my lower back and my thighs and sometimes calves, any part of my leg, they get rigid, and it all depends day to day. I walk with like a weird wobble. I kind of look like I'm drunk, and I work at a hospital. So it's not kind of the greatest look for transporting patients up and down the hallway to look like that. So I walk with a cane, and I use it to overcorrect my step so it gives the illusion that I'm walking in a straight line. Emotional distress. GABA not only inhibits muscle contractions, it calms anxiety and it relieves depression. So when we get SBS and we don't have enough GABA, or the GABA that we do have can't interact with the receptor sites, we literally cannot calm down. And on top of learning that you have this incurable, progressive, degenerative disease that could kill you or put you in a wheelchair permanently, like, that's high stress stuff. And you can't go out and do the things that you used to do because physically you're unable. And when you do go out, you have all of these social stressors about being disabled. And that's a lot. I'm embarrassed a lot. I am worried that I embarrass my friends. I think that's more than like maybe 50-50, me being embarrassed and embarrassing my friends in public. And if you want to, hop over to my TikTok, because I did a video about grief, about the grief of every single thing, new thing that you find that you can't do. Hurts all over again. Shortness of breath when your chest muscles are affected. Now, this could be your actual chest muscles, because remember, if you look at a diagram, Google it, of your chest muscles, they are all underneath. I mean, I'm female, I have breasts, but underneath that, there are muscles. Your intercostal muscles and your ribs, the ones in between. There are actually 3 layers of muscles in your ribs: inside, intercostal, and outside. When all of those contract and spasm, it can squeeze your lungs to the point where you cannot breathe. That can happen. Your chest, if it's just your chest, it's still squeezing in a way that can cause shortness of breath. When major abdominal muscles spasm, it can cause the constriction of the diaphragm, and that can be an extremely painful spasm, and that can also make it very difficult to breathe. Some people have a heightened sensitivity to noise, sound, light, etc. For some people, it could be as small as a light touch. For some people, it could be a balloon popping. For me personally, I have a fear response. So if I get so scared that I scream, you genuinely scare me. Depending on how I am standing, sitting, positioned, I will spasm in some place. It's probably gonna happen. Hyperlordosis and other posture changes. Hyperlordosis is the curvature of your back. It's unnatural curvature of your back. A lot of people look like this. They stand like this. They walk like this. It affects those lumbar muscles a lot. And it could also, depending on which muscles are spasming up and down your spine, could cause different curvatures as well. That will obviously affect your posture. Now we come to SPS treatments. Unfortunately, there is no cure for stiff person syndrome, but there are treatments that could potentially allow for a better quality of life. Our first line of treatments are going to be muscle relaxants and benzodiazepines, okay? I will not tell you what medications I'm on, but I will say that I am on both of those medications. What it has done for me is release some of the rigidity that I feel in my legs, in my back, in my shoulders, in my neck. It has it has lessened my twitches, fasciculations, I'm probably saying that wrong, but twitches in my arm. I literally used to dance. My bicep and tricep and my forearm, they do still twitch and I get shaky, but not nearly as bad as I used to. The amount of foot and ankle and calf cramps that I get now are so far reduced just by those. The second line of treatments can include IVIG or plasmapheresis. I personally am doing IVIG therapy, and I post those on this YouTube channel. I do them every 21 days, and I do a 2-day infusion. I don't always post them on time, guys. Sorry. I even have one like literally sitting here waiting to post. I'll probably post it right after this, and I infuse again next week. So sorry about that. I'm not going to go over a lot of the other examples of treatment because those are for when you are farther along. I'm not, and I don't really know a lot about them, so I don't want to speak about them. I have heard of Rituxan. I have heard of rituximab. I was blessed to meet 2 of the stem cell transplant patients that absolutely floored me. Now, those trials would not be available if not for funding, okay? We don't have a lot of funding because there are so few of us. So it's very important, if you have SPS or you know someone that does, I highly recommend that you not only donate to the biorepository, very important, okay? We need to study your blood. There's not enough of us. We need your blood. We're like vampires. And you also need to join our global registry. The global registry can be found at stiffperson.org. You can find it, just scroll through on the map. That does require a little bit of time and a little bit of paperwork, but it's incredibly important because without you, we cannot do the research necessary to help us, okay? I'm also going to ask you now, like I told you in my welcome video, to please, if you can, if you can't, that's fine, like this video, share this video, okay? If you can, donate anything at all. $5, $10, $50, $100, who cares? $1. The Stiff Person Research Foundation. There are ways to donate on the website, and I encourage you to do so. Thank you so much for joining me because I know today was not a grand adventure. We didn't create anything other than an educational space, but I had fun. I hope you had fun. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and I hope all good things are coming to you.